Welcome in to the Ravens Rundown, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. So glad to have you with us. On today's show, we will examine 5 changes the Ravens should make after the bye week. And I got to tell you, folks, it's pretty exciting to talk about this Ravens team now. And, you know, things are pretty good for where things are at. They could be better, but things are pretty good right now. Let's break it down for you. 6-3 record, solid. First in the AFC North, and a 3-game winning streak. Now, you look at the 3 losses that the Ravens suffered, you could say that they should have won any of those 3 games, but, you know, this is a give-and-take league. You win some, you lose some, right? And then all the injuries that they've dealt with. If you told me at the beginning of the season that with everything this Ravens team was going through, that they'd be sitting here 6-3, first place in the AFC North, on a 3-game winning streak, and they just added one of the best linebackers in football, and Roquan Smith as well, I think you would all be pretty excited. With all the circumstances, with all the adversity this team has already endured, to be in this position right now, where everything is still in front of them. You look at the AFC race, and, you know, it's the Buffalo Bills, it's the Kansas City Chiefs, and then the Ravens are right there, right in the thick of it in the AFC. So, with all things considered, I think you would be pretty pleased. I think you would take where this Ravens team is at, but there is certainly room for improvement, and that's what we're here to do today, is go over those possible areas where the team could improve and change some things there. So, with that, grade the Ravens season so far. What is your grade for this team of where things currently stand here in 2022 at about the halfway point here? How would you grade the season? For me, I would give the Ravens about a B+ here. Not an A, not a C. Solid, but still room for improvement there. It's like looking for the extra credit, or you're trying to bump up that grade a little bit. I would go B+. What would you grade the Ravens season so far? Let me know in the comments section below. You might get an ad break. If so, take advantage of it. Get your votes in how you'd grade the season so far for the Ravens. So let's break these down one by one. The changes that I would make if I were Eric DeCosta or John Harbaugh right now, and the number 1 change for the Ravens, I would get Isaiah Likely more involved in this offense, to be a focal point of this offense. You look at what he's done the last 2 games, 7 receptions, 101 yards, 14.42 yards per catch, and 2 touchdowns, and we saw how great he was in the preseason. And look, it's no secret, this Ravens team has had their share of injuries in the receiver positions. Rashad Bateman, obviously, he's done for the year. Mark Andrews missed his first game ever due to injury this past week. And so you have a young talent like Isaiah Likely that's showing that he can play at a high level here. For me, I'd be looking, how can you play to his strengths? How can you get him more involved in the offense and be a critical part of this passing game? To me, Isaiah Likely needs to be a huge key for the Ravens' success. If they're going to make a big push in this postseason, Isaiah Likely needs to be a part of that push if this team wants to go deep into the postseason. They're going to need to run that 12 personnel and be able to use Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely both effectively on the field at the same time. Not just when Isaiah Likely fills in for Mark Andrews. No, it's got to be the pair of them together on that front. Speaking of the receiver position, that gets to number 2 on our list. And I would say add a wide receiver like an OBJ. Now, I understand that cap space is limited with this team right now. Just around $3.5 million to spend at this point in time. But, look, let's be honest here. The top free agent receivers that are available here, all 5 of them would be an upgrade, would help this receiving core. Even Antonio Brown, although that might be a distraction off the field, but it's a whole nother story. But nonetheless, you look at this receiving core for this Ravens team, there was already question marks about it going into 2022. And then you lose Bateman, and we've seen even DeSean Jackson, who you just brought in, already dealing with an injury there. Just the way things have piled up here, to me, I would find a way to free up some money and see if you can get one more piece to to add to that receiving core and take things up a notch. Look, OBJ obviously is the one that you would want more than anything, but is the price going to be too high potentially? Is there enough flexibility to move on from enough players to potentially bring in OBJ? And then another factor, he's looking for a multi-year deal. So with that said, if the Ravens are serious about getting to the Super Bowl, that to me, it's not just trying to get to the playoffs and win the division, but getting to the Super Bowl, they need another receiver to be a part of that receiving core. OBJ would be my number one choice, but we'll see what they do. So, what say you? What you think? Will the Ravens sign OBJ? If you think they will, if they'll bring him into Baltimore, type OBJ for yes. If not, type no BJ for no. And let me know in the comment section below if you think the Ravens should sign OBJ. If they can make the cap work for them and bring him in, should they do it? Let me know in the comment section below. Today's show is sponsored by Established Titles. Established Titles is a fun and novel way to preserve the natural woodlands of Scotland while helping global reforestation efforts. It is a project based on a historic Scottish custom where landowners are referred to as lairds or lords and ladies in English. Title packs give you at least 1 square foot of dedicated land with a unique plot number on a private estate in Edelston, Scotland, and an official certificate with a crest. We plant a tree with every order and work with global charities, One Tree Planted, and Trees for the Future to support global reforestation efforts. You can officially include the title Lord or Lady on your credit card, plane ticket, dating profiles, and more. Makes for a great last-minute gift. First 200 people purchasing a title pack using my link will effectively be next to my plot within a few minutes of walking distance, depending on how many of you want to become a lord or lady. We can build our own Ravens Rundown Kingdom together. And you can see, there's mine on screen right now. I am Lord Tyler Jones. And Established Titles is actually running a massive early Black Friday sale right now, with discounts up to 80% off. Plus, if you use the code CHAT, you get an additional 10% off. Go to establishedtitles.com/chat to get your gifts now and help support us here at the Ravens Rundown and save that extra 10% off as well. Establishedtitles.com/chat to get yours today. Number 3 on our things the Ravens need to do during the bye week is simply get healthy. Look, we've talked about injuries a lot on this show, and here's the thing. There's some talented players for the Ravens that could be on their way back very soon. With DeSean Jackson, it was a hamstring injury that he suffered against the Saints. That shouldn't be too serious. He's expected back next week, as is Trent Harris and Josh Ross. So you need those guys to continue the progress to get back on the field, and so hopefully we see them out there right away. Then there's J.K. Dobbins. And J.K. Dobbins, remember, had that surgery a few weeks ago. And this was a situation where John Harbaugh and the coaching staff said, look, it's something they didn't want to do, but something they had to do. And they felt that J.K. Dobbins was going to be better for it. J.K. looked okay when he first played this year, but they want him to look great again. And so this is kind of the hope there that you get him back to the J.K. Dobbins that we saw a couple years ago. And then there's Marcus Williams. And I got to say, Marcus Williams, before he got injured, looked like the best player on this defense. And we wondered, what on earth was this team going to do without Marcus Williams when he was out? And I got to give credit to that defense. They have answered the call. They have stepped up without Marcus Williams. And we've seen when these guys knew that they had to do something without their leader of sorts on defense, they answered the call. And so now for Marcus Williams coming back, hopefully by about week 13 for the final push of the regular season, that the play continues to be strong on that defensive side of the ball, and he even just elevates them further when he comes back. So that is going to be key. It's just getting these guys back, getting healthy here, and enjoying that rest and doing the proper things through this bye week. Number 4 on bye week changes. This one is maybe going to catch some people off guard. What about extending Roquan Smith? We have spent a lot of time talking about the Lamar Jackson contract situation, but now the Ravens find themselves in another contract deal with another star player, this one being Roquan Smith. And look, we saw what happened. Lamar Jackson and the Ravens did not ultimately get a deal done last offseason. And Lamar Jackson said, look, I want to wait till next offseason to try to negotiate again, whether that be franchise tag, long-term deal, whatever it may be. Well, here's the deal. You got to keep both guys, right? That's ideally what you want. You can only get the franchise tag to one player. And this is not a diss on Roquan Smith, but if you're having to choose between one or the other, obviously you're taking Lamar Jackson over Roquan Smith. So the franchise tag has to be a safety net of sorts for Lamar Jackson. So with that said, Eric DeCosta and the management of this Ravens team, their focus right now should be getting a long-term deal for Roquan Smith, taking care of that as soon as possible, and then figuring out the money situation to pay Lamar Jackson as well after that. Top middle linebackers right now are going for about $19 million a year. We know Roquan is on the final year of his rookie deal, that fifth-year option. I don't think you make the trade for Roquan Smith if you weren't willing to pay him, if you weren't willing to give him that money. And so I would say go ahead and try to do what you can to get a deal done for Roquan Smith, to secure him, and go ahead and get started on figuring out the Lamar situation as well and have both these guys long-term. To me, I look at Roquan. I know that he didn't want to negotiate with the Bears after things fell through, but this feels like a fresh start. I think that you can talk to Roquan and gauge him and try to get a deal done. You've already shown that you're a fan of his, that you want him there. Now go get the contract done and lock him up long-term to stay a Baltimore Raven for a long time. So one more bye week change we'll get to in a moment. Before we do, prediction time. Do you think the Ravens will extend Roquan Smith? Will a deal get done before the season begins and before a Lamar Jackson deal comes about? What say you? Let me know in the comments section. Type Y for yes, type in for no if you think the Ravens will extend Roquan Smith. And if they do extend Roquan Smith, you know we're going to cover it here on the Ravens Rundown as we bring you the latest Ravens news, rumors, trades, free agency, and more. It's all in one place right here on the channel. Turn on notifications so you never miss a moment as well. The Ravens Rundown by Chat Sports each and every day. Subscribe now. And finally, on the bye week changes, this one, it's one of those hard pills to swallow, right? I think the Ravens need to cut Nick Boyle. Nick Boyle, look, he has been a guy that has been very loyal to Baltimore. And his time with the Ravens, I think you chalk up a success. And he's been a good soldier in his time here. But here's the situation where things stand right now. He's only been active for 7 out of 9 games this year, and he doesn't have a single catch. Granted, he is a blocking tight end, but still, you got to be involved in the offense more than that. I mean, you got to have at least one catch, right? And here's the deal. Charlie Kolar is now activated. I'm excited about what he brings to the table. I liked him just as much as I did Isaiah Likely in the draft, probably even more so. And so you got 2 young rookie tight ends, and then there's Josh Oliver there on top of Mark Andrews. There's not enough mouths to feed at this point here. And then there's also the injury factor we told you about earlier of getting these guys back to the active roster, the J.K. Dobbins, the Josh Rosses, the Marcus Williams of the world here. Somebody's got to go. And if you're going to make a move for an OBJ or a free agent signing of some sorts, you got to cut dead weight somewhere. And quite frankly, right now, Nick Boyle is the obvious choice. I like Nick Boyle. It's been a good run for him in Baltimore, but his time is up. It's time to go. I think that his days are numbered with the Baltimore Ravens, and they'll move on from him to make way for these other players that we've talked about here. So with that, do you agree with me? Should the Ravens cut or keep Nick Boyle? If you think they should cut him, type C for cut. If you think they should keep him, find a way to keep him around for whatever reason, type K for keep. Let me know in the comment section below. As always, you can follow me on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, at Tyler Jones Live, talking about your Ravens on those social media platforms. And I'll see you next time here on the Ravens Rundown.